Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness with co-hosts John McCaskill and Will Schneider. Each week, we take an authentic dive into how mindfulness continually impacts our lives, deepens our relationships, and allows us to be emotionally alive. We filter all of our conversations through the man box, where we unpack how as men we are expected to act in society, how fighting the authentic human experience is exhausting and damaging, and how mindfulness can help. Now, on to the show.
Welcome to Men Talking Mindfulness. You just missed us being real mindful about getting ready for the show and Will rinsing his mouth out so that he can speak properly. But hey, here we are, Men Talking Mindfulness. John McCaskill here in Colorado Springs with my brother from another mother, Will Schneider, there in New York City. We are so excited to have you here with us today. Today, we're going to be talking about the power of gratitude, what gratitude is, why it's important, how to foster it, what it does when you actually have it in your life. Before we get into that, we want to mention our awesome sponsor, Naked Warrior Recovery. Naked Warrior, yeah, there you go. The energy drinks, boom, CBD. So Naked Warrior Recovery is a service-disabled, veteran-owned and operated supplements company owned by a fellow Navy SEAL. They offer a range of supplements from super greens for energy and recovery to broad spectrum CBD products to immune defense. And we will share their website here in the comments here shortly. But if you go to this website and enter the code MTM2021, you'll get 20% off. So MTM 2021, 20% off on those awesome products. So that said, let's jump into gratitude. Will, I'm so grateful for you to be here and be with you, brother. How are you? Uh-oh. I can't hear you, man.
Okay, wait. Okay, that was out.
Oh,
okay,
there you go.
I appreciate you letting me open my mic, John. And what I did say is I appreciate you being here and thankful for everyone being here and grateful for this opportunity to be here as we discuss gratitude. And I don't know what that is, John. We're gonna have to really break down what gratitude is, right? But I do want to say for our sponsor, Naked Warrior Recovery, I got some product this week and I am enjoying these CBD energy drinks. I've been taking this I hit that slump around 2:00, 2:30, and I'm hitting this, and it really it allows me to maintain that productivity and that focus, and without the jitters. It does have some caffeine in it, but I'm not freaking out. So
nice, man.
I just want to give a little prop to Naked Warrior Recovery. Thanks for sponsoring us, and there's more gratitude for our sponsor.
For sure. Well, here, let me stop sharing the screen so people can see your pretty face. Gratitude, man. You're always the definition guy. Hey, I'm getting ahead of myself. How do we start every show, man? How do we start every show? Grounding practice, brother.
Yes,
I would be so grateful if you would lead us off in a powerful grounding practice.
All right, I'll try to make it as powerful as I can, John. So great. Let's do this. All right, find your seat. If you're new to the show, this is something that we offer to help ground the show. John and I and everyone else that's out there is also an opportunity to understand some simple techniques to help you ground, to center, to calm yourself down. And you can use this. Do it during the show with us, obviously. Or you can take these practices, use them anytime, anywhere, multiple times a day. Invite your friends to do it with you as well, and just watch how that might change, that moment for you. So if you're seated, adjust that seat a little bit, get comfortable. You can roll your head a little side to side. If you're listening on the podcast and you're out on your feet somewhere, maybe just stop and just stop what you're doing. If you're driving, just focus on your breath. So once you found your seat, I like to ground my hands on the table, or maybe interlace my fingers in my lap, or bring them down towards your sides. Ground your feet as well. And find the grounding of your sit bones. Just take a moment and just notice that weight in your sit bones, and then try grounding down and lengthening up through the spine. Take a moment, wiggle your jaw a little side to side, and allow that to help create some more softness in your face. And let's just exhale the breath out. Take a big giant inhale through the nose. Keep breathing more and more and more breath in. See if you can feel that entire torso with your breath. And let's exhale out the mouth, nice and give yourself a little sigh out the mouth to help release some tension in the throat and help you relax even further. In breath again. Exhale out. Couple more, bigger breath if you can. Make such a big breath that maybe gets a little uncomfortable as you feel your ribs expand out and your chest lift up and that balloon in your belly. And then exhale, nice and easy. Let's just do a couple more. Inhaling. Keep going, inhaling. Let's see if you can exhale with some joy in that exhale. Just enhance the quality of the exhalation. Just being mindful. 2 more. Inhale. And exhale with joy again. One more big breath. Exhale with that joy. Just come back to a nice smooth rhythm of breath in and out of your nose. Doesn't have to be a big breath, but try to create a nice harmonize that inhale and exhale. So there's a nice balance between the two. Let's just take one moment and just practice gratitude right here in this meditation. I want you to take one thing that you are gratitude or gracious for and thankful for, and appreciate that happened to your day already today. Just one thing. See it in your mind. Use the breath to help drop that energy of gratitude down into your heart. So it's not just this mental concept, appreciation, but it's felt in the heart space. Keep that fire or grow that fire of appreciation and gratitude by giving it more breath. Maybe in your mind, I rented a car today to go home, and the guy gave me like $75 off the car. So I was like really grateful to save a little money and to connect with someone that I really appreciate. She's been taking care of my rental needs. So it could be something that simple. Let's close this out. Thank yourself first for taking this pause in your day and finding more of your breath, and also joining our live broadcast if you're here with us, or just to join the podcast if you're listening. Podcast. Let's exhale. Big last giant breath. Exhaling through the nose, nice and soft and smooth, all the way out. Complete the exhale, so really hit the bottom of that exhale, 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 exhale. Ready? Open your eyes, take a breath in. MTM is back, John. Here we are. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday,
that
man.
Feels good.
Yeah, it does. I am grateful for that time. I'm grateful for where I am now in my body, in my mind, and in my nervous system, thanks to that grounding meditation. So thank you, Will. That was awesome. And we also normally get into mindful moments here. Yeah. And I'm going to shake it up a little bit. It was actually being that this is a show on gratitude, I'm going to talk about a gratitude moment this week. And a mindful moment. They were one and the same. They were one and the same. I know, man. I didn't talk about this before the show. I didn't clear this with the boss. Yeah. Right? So, gratitude moment. Yeah. Actually, yesterday, my wife and we went to a yoga class together, and my wife is 7 months pregnant, and the teacher catered to her being 7 months pregnant because there's some things that she wasn't able to do, and she had to do some modifications. And I obviously enjoyed the class, but I was very grateful for the teacher being aware, of I won't say the limitations, but the changes that needed to happen in some of the poses and some of the breathing that my wife was not able to do. And then the two of us, we went home after that, and we were much more relaxed. And honestly, we both slept a lot better after doing that yoga last night, and it made a huge difference in my sleep last night. But then, obviously, this morning I feel better for it. So I'm grateful for the teacher and her awareness, and then I'm grateful for the class in and of itself. And obviously, yoga and mindfulness are so closely tied. I mean, you're a big time yogi over there, and you know that. But yeah, I don't do a whole lot of yoga, but when I do it, I love it, and I just need to do more of it. So that was my grateful and mindful moment of the week.
Thanks for the
Over to
hybrid,
you, bud.
John. That's
Yeah,
very nice. That's awesome. And I appreciate you taking a yoga class, and
yeah,
speaking
man.
about it. That's sometimes a big deal for men, right? It's like,
Yeah.
um,
Yep.
for myself, this week, I'm very mindful and grateful for family. This week, I'm actually heading home right after the show to go see my father. He'll be 18. He's tomorrow, so
He's gonna be
big.
18.
No, I'm sorry, 18, 82. Right? Yeah, I know.
Like, how old are you?
Yeah, I'm like negative 40, right? So, um, so
Sorry,
I'm very
man. I
mindful
interrupted
about
your flow.
family. I'm very
I
mindful about
interrupted.
family. I'm sorry. Yeah, I'm very mindful about family, and also today I want to give another birthday shout out to my little cousin Tanner, Tanner Espy. He is 10 years old today. He's the son of my second cousin Diane. I'm not going to get a chance to see her. I don't think this weekend while I'm home, but just a lot of love and appreciation and mindfulness around family and going home. It's the first time I've been home, John, since October to my parents' house, the house I grew up in because of COVID.
Mm,
So I just so everyone knows, I tested negative yesterday, for COVID, and my parents have their shots and stuff like that. So I'm glad that
nice.
I can just feel a little more safe and calm when I go home. But thanks for asking, I appreciate it, and happy birthday, Tanner SB. I hope you get a chance to listen. I love this little kid, 10 years old, and he has a wonderful sister who I think is 12 or 13 now, Emma, and their parents, Diane and James. So just a little
Yeah.
family shout out. So.
Happy birthday to him and to your 18-year-old dad, man. So, enjoy that weekend, man. Though it's so great. I mean, I got back last weekend. Obviously, recorded last week's show from my hometown, and it's just so great going back and seeing family, and then being able to be grateful for that ties directly into today's show. So, right on, man. I love that, and I hope that you have a fantastic weekend with family, man.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Should we jump in and let's
Let's do
start
it,
this
man.
off? All right, I'm
Let's
going to
do it.
read a quote, maybe two. Right, this is from
Yeah.
Cicero. Cicero is a Roman statesman and writer. I mean, I think he was actually helped to form the Roman Empire. And he says gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others. Huge, right? Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all others, which I thought was really profound. And here we go. Who is anybody a Willie Nelson fan out there? Right? You
This
wouldn't think
guy.
Willie Nelson might not. You Willie Nelson fan? Well, John, listen
I
up,
love Willie
okay?
Nelson.
This is what Willie Nelson says. He goes, "When I started counting my blessings, my whole life turned around." And that's, I think, a really a great segue into our conversation. And let's just getting basic. The definition in the dictionary definition of gratitude: the quality of feeling, the quality or feeling of being grateful or thankful. That's it. The quality of feeling of being grateful or thankful. And the synonyms, right, for gratitude are thanks, thankfulness, appreciation, gratefulness. And just so we go, Latin word, it comes from a Latin word of gratia, gratia, right, which means grace or graciousness or gratefulness, depending on the context. Awesome. So
nice, man.
Where do you want to start, Jon?
Oh man, there's so many places to jump in. I mean, we defined it there. We've talked about some things we're both grateful for this week, grateful and our mindful moments. Let's talk about, in this day and age, there's a lot of things to be grateful for, to show gratitude for, but it can be really difficult to show gratitude. Some people struggle with it, and I would love to let's talk about that, and I'll jump right into it first, and then we can come back and discuss some more of those awesome quotes that you have, and the article that you wrote on gratitude. So let's jump into that here in a bit. But gratitude, it can be difficult to do or to show because we're not naturally wired to show gratitude. We're naturally wired to actually be on the defense and have what's called a negativity bias. The negativity bias is there to protect us from threats. And I think we've talked about this on the show before. It's there to protect us from threats. But in this day and age, we think like almost everything's a threat. We even think some good things, like we'll see something good happening and we'll defend ourselves instantly. We start thinking, okay, something bad is going to happen. And Brene Brown talks about this in her Netflix special. And, I've mentioned Brene Brown a ton of times on our show. I love her. And in this Netflix special, we actually watched as a family last week. When I say my family, I had my two older sisters, and my mom and dad there with my brother-in-law, who has I'm grateful for his recovery from COVID, and he's doing super well. But we're sitting there watching this Brene Brown special as a family. It was pretty wild. But anyway, she talks about the negativity bias and what can counter it. So the example that she throws out there is she's standing on her front porch waving goodbye to her daughter as she's going on her prom date. And her daughter's walking down the path towards the car. And the thing in her mind is there's going to be a car wreck. She's going to get hurt. And that's the negativity bias, is we're continually working to protect ourselves from physical pain or emotional pain. And we do that by building up these scenarios of what could happen. And the way to counter that is through gratitude. Rather than saying, oh man, there's going to be a car wreck, you can say, in Brene Brown's example, hey, I'm thankful that my daughter is healthy and she's able to go on this date and experience something wonderful that she'll have a memory of. If I've got 2 kids, number 3 on the way. Brene also talks about this in her special. I've looked at my wonderful kids, and rather than appreciating them for the wonderful miracle that they are, in my mind, I'm like, I've got to get ready mentally for when something happens, when something bad happens, instead of being grateful. And so that countering that, when I notice that my mind is going down that negativity bias road, I can stop and express some type of gratitude. And by expressing that gratitude, that can also counter not just the negativity bias, but it actually builds the opposite. It neurologically wires us to have the positivity bias and actually physically see things differently, physically see more good every day. As we're looking around, as we're walking through our lives, we see more and more good. And by seeing more and more good and having less and less of that negativity bias, that can, there's definitely the rewiring that happens, but it can also decrease our anxiety, which is pretty powerful. So that's where I wanted to go with why it's so difficult to see gratitude or express gratitude, and what we can do to actually rewire our brains so that we decrease our anxiety, but also increase our fulfillment and happiness.
Yeah.
Well, what are your thoughts on that, man?
Well, I think you bring up the mind, right? And the mind, imagination comes up because, like, here's Brene Brown standing on her porch. She could think about that car crash and this and that, which is just an imagination, right? Which comes through that negativity bias. And you mentioned about the negativity bias. As we were, we got to understand, I think, John, it's important that our civilized world, right, and living in a state of comfort in which like everything is kind of like the water's running, the lights are, I mean, if you're living, in the United States, or like kind of first world countries, it's like life can be pretty easy. It's like
Yeah.
I have water, I have lights, I have access to food. Even if I don't have money, I still have access to food if and we're also working against millions and millions of years of conditioning, of genetic
Hmm.
conditioning, right?
Yeah.
Epigenetics is a real thing. They've shown that our DNA is influenced by our environment. So if we are in an environment in which threats are around, like when we didn't have, when we were more nomadic cultures and roaming from here, season to season, different places, and in order to survive, you better believe that, this negativity bias was very helpful, because we're
Yeah.
always keeping that ear open, that antenna up, and the eyes out, for that threat. It could be, another tribe, or it could be an animal, it could be harsh weather or something like that can just literally wipe out ourselves, our family, and everything that we worked so hard for. So we have this million years of history, right, of how we lived as human beings, right, in these harsher environments, without all this amazing technology that we have today that makes our lives more comfortable. But we still have this old brain, in which we're always looking and filtering things through threats. Um, where like this is where gratitude, and what coming back to what Cicero said, it's like it's the parent of all other virtues. If we can just access and begin to foster and use, but knowing that we can change our brain with that neuroplasticity, and bringing more appreciation and gratitude to the littlest things. Sometimes it doesn't have to be like this, giant concept, or this, not even a concept, this giant moment of gratitude of like whatever it is. It could just be, I have clean water right now. Like, I appreciate this because it keeps me healthy, right? That's how
Yeah.
simple it can be. But like taking little moments of gratitude throughout the day, and rewiring our brain, and working to begin to develop this positivity bias. This is when things really begin to change for us, because we really begin to experience that the world, our relationships, and everything around me is here to support my experience. And even the things that go bad, John, even the things that go really horribly wrong, what I've, I think I've shifted a lot of my thinking into this positivity bias. So when stuff gets really bad, or like, say we lose a guest in the show, John, or lose a guest, they have to reschedule. It's like, oh man,
Yeah.
now what? It's like, what? It's like, how do we shift? How do we, do something different? If it's something that's, very hard, something that's very gut wrenching, maybe with family, or a relationship, it's like I come into a place after like I have that emotional experience, and I kind of get over that and get into a clear mindset. It's like, what is it teaching me? What is the feedback? How can I be grateful for that moment in order to educate me so I can make a different choice in the future? And this is what, accessing and developing gratitude, and this positivity mindset with gratitude can really start to help you in all aspects of your life, in your relationships, at work, in your relationship to yourself, in your relationship to the environment around you. And what does, I say in my article here, it's like, what door does it open up? What does, if it's parent of virtue, it opens up more love, more compassion, more patience, more understanding, more empathy, uh, and more wonderment too. Instead of I feel it also, as far when it comes back to mind, it softens the mind.
Yeah.
Instead of us, wanting to control and living life, futilely, right, with expectations. It's like, wait, I can, whatever the results are, however life's going to show up. It's like that's the way it's supposed to be. And that's what's going to get us into. We really haven't talked about flow state, but it's going to allow us to flow with life. Every time
Hmm.
we try to fight against the current, it's like, oh, why isn't it, it's 70 degrees today. I wanted it to be 75. It's like, you know what I mean? I know it's, it's like, but it's like, well, but it's still, it's like, just flow with it. Well, I'm 70 today instead of 75. and then I can get on in my life instead of trying to fight the current. You're gonna lose every time you try to fight the current.
That
I mean,
that ties back into last
yeah,
week's episode on
yeah,
equanimity is accepting things the way they are and not trying
yeah,
to fight it, and
yeah.
then even trying to find a reason to be grateful and show gratitude for
Mhm.
the way things are right now.
Right,
And
right.
and you also referenced that wonderment. And that kind of
Yeah,
ties back into our episode on the beginner's mind 2 weeks
yeah,
ago.
yeah.
That having that beginner's mind and being grateful together, they go hand in hand in having that sense of fulfillment and then getting into that state of flow or the zone.
Yeah.
I love that, man. And I also want to touch on the fact that as you show gratitude, and you mentioned this, you are developing your ability to bounce back,
Yes.
your
Resilience.
resilience,
Yes.
And I mean, there's a whole study on this. I mean, there's a whole field of study on this, rather, is in positive psychology. And it shows, I'll read from my notes here:
Yeah.
expressions of gratitude help in building and sustaining long-term relationships,
Mm.
deal with adversities, and bounce back from them with strength and motivation. Express
Mm.
gratitude to others to build relationships. Expressing gratitude to ourselves induces positive emotions. And you also touched on that, being thankful for who we are, being thankful to ourselves for who we are, being thankful to ourselves for the positive things in our lives, showing that, hey, I'm thankful for, I don't know, for right now, I'm thankful for the fact that I'm able to have a coherent conversation and not get too like off the beaten path, or off the focus path, rather. So I'm thankful for that right now.
Right.
But that, and you can do those little gratitude practices through the day, and part of it is being grateful and showing gratitude to yourself. And I think that's an important aspect of improving and developing that positivity mindset. And I know we've got some great comments and questions coming in here. I haven't had a chance to look at them yet, but I'm sure they're
Wow.
there.
I think I need to refresh,
But
John. Hold on, I'm gonna
yeah,
refresh.
so we've also talked about, while you're doing that, I'll jump in on gratitude and health, and then gratitude at work. We talked about like a month and a half ago, we talked about leaders versus bosses, and we looked this up, or I looked this up recently, just this morning, on positivepsychology.com. It talks about gratitude at work, and grateful workers, the workers themselves, are more efficient, more productive, and more responsible. But then flip that, it also talks about gratitude makes a leader more compassionate, considerate, empathetic, and loved among others. So that's in being a worker. By showing gratitude, you can actually be more productive, more focused, much like practicing mindfulness, that go hand in hand. But also being a good and effective leader, showing gratitude can make you more compassionate, considerate, empathetic, and loved. That was powerful to me when I read that this morning. So yeah, man. Did you find anything in the comments, or anything else you want to go down, any other road?
Yeah, well, I think it's let's just really get basic, even, break down, like, what do we mean by being thankful? Like, and it's like, what do we mean by, I had a student this morning I work with, and he's like, what do you mean by gratitude? I mean, he wasn't being snarky. I'm being snarky.
Yeah.
I'm making it snarky. What do you mean, Will?
Man, you're taking your
like
own negative self-talk and you're putting it on him.
I'm just trying to set up some conflict, John, so I can be the hero and make the solution. You know what I'm saying?
Whoa, man, we're getting deep.
Just kidding. He's like, so what, because I think what, and if Matt's out there, or I shouldn't even, yeah, it's all good. Doesn't matter who it is, and he was like, I think he was thinking in terms of it being very personal. It's like, how do I thank myself for, like whatever, like doing something destructive to myself, or that kind of thing. Where else, like, sometimes if because maybe your negativity, self-bias, and your negative self-talk is so strong that it's tough to really appreciate yourself for just, being here, getting out of bed in the morning, and, and doing things that make you happy. what if you take gratitude and to little things, like little micro moments of like, think about like what it takes, John. I mean, for us to connect, with this awesome microphone, with this technology, with my computer, with the electricity that's running, and all those people, John, all those people that needed to, create this science and all this, but also all the
Yeah.
people that are supporting to make this happen right now for us, all the people that are on the show. Like, think about how incredible it is, that we are able to connect live across the world. We had someone from Guam right last week, on the show.
We got someone
Like,
from
Guam.
India today.
Yeah, wow, incredible, right?
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, that's where gratitude can. If it's tough for you, right, to tap into gratitude, self gratitude. What if you take it out, and think about all those little things that you can be grateful for that literally support your existence. That is
Right.
trying to support your happiness, but it's also waiting in some ways. Gratitude is waiting you for turn that light bulb on to all the other virtues that come along by accessing gratitude.
Right.
Um,
Yeah,
so
man.
it's in the little things, like even there's a lot of people in New York, John. Yeah, and just like
Just a
I go to
few. Just a few.
yeah, just a few. But like I just thanking people at the bodega. I'm always like the person in the deli, like, hey, how are we doing today? Oh, thank you so much, and just making little happy little self talk. I don't
Nice.
think I annoy them. I don't know. But like,
You
just
are in New York.
I know, right? Yeah, exactly. They're like, no, what's wrong with him? Why isn't he? It's like changing the vibe here in New York, John. If I'm the one person
Good
doing
man. Good man.
tuning fork of gratitude, and uh, so I think that's like just by saying thank you to other people, right? Might help you to look and be like, what am I thankful for myself today?
Yeah.
So like but it's like it becomes more than again a mental construct or something academic, but it becomes a feeling, and you can tell when someone's kind of BSing you with thanks or trying to manipulate you with gratitude. But to really heartfelt, every time I say thank you to everyone being here, and thank you for you, John, for being in the show, like I mean it, because
Yeah.
like
Same
number
here,
one,
brother.
I love what we're doing, and we've created this space, and everyone else helps create this space too. But like, what if I wasn't what if I wasn't gracious, John, about this? Like, what would
Yeah.
like would the show even exist? Right? You know what I mean? Would we
Yeah.
have even found each other if we weren't, appreciative for all the things that happen in order for us to connect like a couple summers ago?
Right. And funny you should mention that. Shannon Hanks over here, he
Mhm.
actually asked, he would love to know how we met. And next week, we're bringing the person who is responsible for our meeting on the show, Scott Tucker, a fellow veteran. He lived in Virginia Beach and introduced us because
Yeah,
we were both in the mindfulness space and he knew us both. And he's
yeah,
coming on the show next week. So, yeah, I'm sure he would love to share that story. But yeah, Will and I have never actually met in person. It's all been virtual. And I'm so grateful for that introduction, first of all. And then, yes, everything that goes into the fact that we can have a friendship and a show together where we're sharing this, I am so grateful for. And those, honestly, in my eyes, those are big things. I just wrapped up this challenge, a 60-day deliberate discomfort challenge, which sounds miserable, and there's definitely aspects of it that are that are tough. It's deliberately discomfort.
mhm,
Anyway, part of it is 60 days of writing a one-page part in a gratitude journal. So you have to fill up one page. And at first I was like, man, one page, that's a lot to write every day.
mhm.
And, the first few things I was like, I am thankful for my house. I'm thankful for my family. I'm thankful, kind of grand scheme things, right? And then I was like, okay, I've written my 5 things that I'm grateful for today, but it only filled up 5 lines. How am I going to fill this? And then I was like, okay, well, I'm grateful to live in a country where I can buy a nice pen and a nice notebook to write in, like something super small, right? And
Yeah,
I was like, well, this is kind of silly to write this, but it literally over the 60 days at the end, stopping at one page was the tough thing
wow,
because it literally rewired my brain over that 60
yeah,
days
yeah,
to see things differently, to be more positive and have that positivity bias.
mhm,
So it was pretty powerful. And then prior to that exercise last summer, I did something similar with James Corbett. James Corbett runs a nonprofit called Project Refit, and he did this 21-day gratefulness challenge or gratitude challenge where you were responsible, kind of like the 21-day or 22-day push-up challenge that you may see a lot of veterans or veteran advocates posting. This was for veterans, and it was to bring awareness to veteran suicide. But there was a positive side to it. And every day you looked for something small that you were grateful about, and you posted on social media about it. And at first I was like, great, this is going to be really difficult to do. But every day I found something that was very easy to post about. And as I went through that challenge, again, that rewiring was there. Actually, in between, it was interesting, in between the two challenges, so the 21-day challenge that I did last summer and the 60-day challenge that I just did recently, I could see where I wasn't expressing as much gratitude because I wasn't actively practicing. And that's a thing that you have to be intentional about being grateful and showing that gratitude. Otherwise, you go back to the way we are naturally wired again, and you go back to that negativity bias. So you have to actively counter that intentionally. So that was a piece. So and I don't know, we want to talk about ways to foster that gratitude. We just talked about
it's a practice. It's a real practice.
It is. Absolutely.
And, we have a bunch here. So we'll jump in here, John.
So I just covered the journal. Starting a journal and not just journaling about like, hey, my dear diary, today this is what happened, right? But having a gratitude journal, so explicitly writing what it is that you're thankful for in your journal. And again, it may be a little bit difficult to do at first, but over time, as you start to literally physiologically rewire your brain to look for more positive things, you're going to fill up that page. I guarantee it. So that's one thing is keeping the journal.
Let me just say one thing about the journaling, John. It's like, it's not just like, hey, I'm grateful for the show, right?
Yeah.
Even taking a step further, go, why? Like, why you're grateful for the show. You know what I mean? And that's just going to get you deeper into, the actual, the bedrock of the gratitude. So it's great to have the show, but like it helps me, for me personally, the show, it's like, I get to do something I love. I get to share with other people and so many other things. But, answering that question, why as well, starts to, again, pull those layers off of the negativity bias, pull you in and upgrade your perspective and your programming to really be like, wow, like it's all really here to help me in some ways. But okay, I don't forget what else.
Yeah, so I just wrapped up keeping a journal. I'll jump into the gratitude affirmations, and that really helps you to develop that personal gratitude, the gratitude for yourself. And another, I'm jumping all over the place with some of the different people and organizations that I work with, but I work with one of my partners, Teresa Larson. She's a former Marine veteran, doctor of physical therapy now. And we do a course on movement and mindfulness together. And in the course that we do, she does what she calls gratitude squats.
I read that earlier. Please tell us what that is.
Yeah, so gratitude squats, we do this on Zoom. So it's a seminar with corporate teams, and we can see everybody and they can see us. And we literally stand up and we do 1 minute of squats. And on each squat, you have to say some type of positive affirmation about yourself. So an example, hey, you do a squat and you're like, I'm thankful for my courage. I am thankful for my faith. I am thankful for, something about yourself. And we do it on mute, so nobody has to hear everything, but it's initially uncomfortable. First of all, it's a little funny because you see everybody doing squats on Zoom, but it's a little uncomfortable at first as well. But then, as you do that more and more, not so much the squats. The squats are uncomfortable for sure, but just the affirmations, hey, you're talking positively about yourself. That's a little uncomfortable. But as you do it more and more, you start to actually see yourself in a more positive light. That's that positivity bias. Right. So those are a couple. I'd love you to cover a couple, and then I'll jump in with a couple more, man.
Yeah, well, I think the letter writing, I've done before, and it's nice. And I'm reading. I think I might. No, I didn't post that one, but writing a letter to someone else and just showing your appreciation and thankful for whatever it is about that particular person. It could be something very near and dear, someone very near and dear, like a close family member, or it could be, a coworker or a friend, or I mean, God, you can write a letter to the guy at the deli, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but like just expressing gratitude and thanks for that person, even if you don't send the letter, they've shown that it has an emotional effect and a psychological effect on you. Also, what I'll say, and I've done this many times, is writing a gratitude and thankful letter to yourself, and
Wow.
then putting it on, putting it in the post office, mailing it back to yourself. You'll receive it like 3 or 4 days later, or maybe do a bunch of them, right? Write a bunch, like, in one day, and mail
That's
them every
cool.
every 2 days. And all of a sudden you get a letter to yourself. I mean, because I can't remember exactly what I wrote, but I get a
Yeah.
letter a few days later, or weeks later, or something like that, and you're like, oh wow, like that was really nice of me to say that to myself. Or whatever it is. So that could be something as well. But notice it's like, it's what I like about what we're talking about here, John, is it's something physical too. So we're trying to exercise gratitude mentally, right? But also bringing it out of our body, out of our mind, and into the physical space in some ways. Like when you're doing the squats and saying them to yourself, it's like you're literally expressing and emoting gratitude, right? And
Hmm.
the science that we're reading about here, it's like it creates a happier person, John. It just flat out
Right.
creates a happier, more joyful, and happy and joy is going to create more peacefulness, or more harmony, more of that compassion, more of that interconnectedness, and keep us in that state of wonderment as well. Um,
State of wonderment. I love it.
yeah, right. I know, right?
Yep.
Here, affirmations. You just kind of mentioned. Did you say affirmations, John?
I
Or
did. Yeah.
just
That.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, with the squats, right?
Yep. That's
Gratitude
right.
visits, right? Gratitude visits. Like you can, um, yeah, I'm going back today to visit my parents. I'm bringing all sorts of gifts, and get my mom some flowers, and just really showing up with a lot of
Yeah.
thanks, because I haven't seen them in a while. But I
Good
mean,
man.
God, I love them. They're my family.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, keep going, John. What else? Tell us
Yeah,
more. Tell us
and
more.
that going back, tell us more. That's more Brene Brown. Tell me
Yeah.
more. Oh well, talking about that. I mean, so we talked about when she's standing there on the front doorstep watching her daughter go to prom. Hey, you know what? Allow yourself to feel that happiness in that moment. And here we are. I mean, in that moment, presence. That's mindfulness. So
Mhm.
be mindfulness. Be mindful and allow yourself to experience that happiness without thinking about the negative things that you could experience that could happen. Don't try to protect yourself, just enjoy the moment. So allow yourself to be happy. I think that's a big one. So not throwing yourself at the mercy of the negativity bias, man. I think that's
Mhm.
big.
Yeah.
um, so yeah, those are some great ones that I can think of. I'm going to scroll through the comments here for a
I,
second.
I,
If you
I I
talk,
have one right here, Shannon,
yeah,
and
yeah,
thank you, Shannon, again, for Shannon Hanks out there, for joining the show. He plugged the show a couple times this week. Much love to you. Grateful for you, Shannon, for doing that. But he asked here, it's like, so do you set aside specific time to practice mindfulness? And absolutely. And again, it's a practice. This is not something that just naturally shows up in your life typically. I mean, unless you've had some very severe, suffered a loss of someone very close to you, then you might have to, like, spin into like, wait, like I've been really in this negativity bias, for so long, and really receiving the world and perceiving the world as a threat. um, you don't have to wait for those moments in your life. You can literally start by just, so Shannon, just literally set time, like make time. Don't like, oh, I hope I gratitude journal tomorrow. Make time, like set the time. And I like to do stuff in the morning. I like to have all my practices. I have about an hour in which I do something physical. I meditate, I breathe, and I also practice gratitude as well. And but make the time, and it doesn't have to be a lot of time. Like I feel a lot of people pursue these practices with an extreme amount of ambition in the beginning, and then see it's like, then all of a sudden that the old ways and the old patterns and programming of doing things starts to creep in, and you just go back to the way things are. So I'm a big fan of baby steps. Just take 5 minutes, one practice. Maybe just if it seems really hard, Shannon, do a full page of gratitude journaling. Do one page, right? And eventually work up to that full page, because you're really going to receive the benefits of that whole time of you being with the pen and the paper and your mind and gratitude. So I would something in the morning, like maybe get up, because people are like, I don't have any time. I don't have any time for this. I don't have any time. Well, you know what? Again, make the time. Make the time. Take 5 more minutes in the morning and just take, and make it special sometimes too. I think, I always get nice journals. I don't get a crappy, notebook. I get something that's hard or something that's nice. And I really great pens I love as well. And I'll take that time and write for however long I write in the morning. There you go. Right? Yeah, exactly.
This is my
yeah.
Yep.
This is
like
my,
it.
I got what do you got, John? Right, but it's
we're not comparing cars. We're not comparing cars. We're comparing gratitude
I don't have
journals.
A car, John. I can only compare notebooks. I don't have a car. But anyway, so little
can I jump on that real quick with
that?
Shannon? Can I jump on that?
Oh my God!
So Shannon, what I have my own routine, what works for me, and you're going to have to experiment and kind of find out what works for you. But I went to the leadership conference at the Naval Academy a few months ago with a colleague of mine, Dr. Janelle McCauley, and she spoke on mindfulness and meditation, and I just kind of sat there and echoed whatever she said, but she had a great comment. Said, "Hey, don't put practice meditation on your to-do list, because all too often it's not going to happen. And then at the end of the day, you're going to look at your to-do list and you're going to beat yourself up. But do put it on your calendar, because if you set it on your calendar, it's more likely to happen. So don't put it on your to-do list, put it on your calendar." And then I see, I may be pronouncing this wrong, Perveen Jalati, saying actually writing in the journal is different than just thinking. And can you touch on how these two methods are very different? Absolutely. Writing something and the tactile sensation that is involved with actually writing something out versus just saying it or just thinking it, it helps to develop those neural pathways and really groove that into your mind more solidly than just thinking something. So those are a couple of comments that I saw just offhand, and other ones we'll come back and address later after the show. Will and I normally come in and comment on it after the live show. Yeah. But I want to touch on a couple of other things before we get into the final grounding practice and then wrap up the show. But we talked about the negativity bias, right? And we talked about anxiety, but I want to talk about the study that I found right before the show. It showed an experiment was conducted on 83 Chinese adults aged 60 or above who were divided into 3 groups. One of the 3 groups were asked to write gratitude notes and words of positivity. Another was asked to write about their worries, and the third group was given a neutral task. After the task completion, the groups were all exposed to stimuli arousing the death anxiety. And results showed that participants of the first group who wrote gratitude notes showed fewer symptoms of death anxiety than the other 2. Re-examination of the results showed that with a grateful attitude in life, we gain acceptance and become fearless of the future. And that's that's just explaining that negativity bias and the anxiety that it creates for us. But what physiologically happens when we're showing gratitude, when we express gratitude and receive the same. So when you express it and when you receive it, when you're open to receiving others' gratitude, our brain releases dopamine and serotonin, the 2 crucial neurotransmitters responsible for our emotions, and they make us feel good. So if that right there isn't enough to convince you to show gratitude more often, I don't know what will, but hopefully that will. So, or will. Or will.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah, that's right.
Call me, right? And I'll tell you. I think so. It's like, how do you just take these moments of, or like, I put a post-it on your computer and just put up there, say thanks, say thank you. Right. Or I like, I call my personal whiteboard is on my little, I'm right-handed. So I write on my webbing between my thumb and index finger. All right. Just like if I need to do something or to remind myself of something, that's where I put it. And just, if you just write down that, like for the next week or so, just put thank you down. And every time you see it and look up and be like, oh, I could be thankful for the sun. I could be thankful for this person in front of me. I could be thankful for whatever it is. That's like, it's constant practice, John. So maybe you have to listen to this episode several times before all this information begins to sink in, and you begin to be inspired to really practice it seriously. And it's going to take some time to change the brain. I mean, the way the brain works, and they've completely debunked the 21 days to form a habit. It's actually 66 days
66.
on average. 66 days on average to develop it. So that's 9 weeks. That's 9 weeks of doing the best you can to create consistent practice with gratitude. One thing I'll offer, and Lindsay's out there. Thanks, Lindsay, for being here today. She's my assistant. And is we're a big fans, and we've seen exorbitant results or great results with the companies we work with, is leveraging accountability. Get a grateful buddy. Get somebody that you share notes once a week, or at least hold each other accountable for, hey, did you do your 5 points of gratitude today? And maybe in those 5 points, it's not, maybe look, what am I 2 things you're grateful for about yourself, 2 things about other people, 2 things about the world that we live in, and maybe something or a couple things that are random, right? So just breaking them up, right? Self, others, environment, and something else that you can be grateful for. And also answering why. And it doesn't have to be a long exercise, Shannon. This could be, you can do it in 5 minutes, you can do it in 10. As you enjoy it more, make it longer. This is a mindfulness practice that's going to, again, it's going to open up the doorway to every other single virtue that's within our DNA. And how is that going to change your entire life? Especially, God, coming back to leadership. How's that going to make you a better leader? How's it going to make you a better employee? Last thing I want to read here, John, is and then we'll close. Is that okay? I know.
Yeah, man, go for it.
Running my mouth and running along here, right? Here we go. For example, this is good. This is just part of the study. A study of couples found that individuals who took time to express gratitude for their partner not only felt more positive towards the other person, but also felt more comfortable expressing concerns about the relationship. Oh, like how powerful is that? Right.
Yeah,
and that
man.
could be, that could be, intimate part. That could be, your wife or someone else. But how about, someone at work, or something like that. It can really, so, I mean, because there's a trust, there's a bond, there's a vulnerability, John, that we talk so much about. There's an authenticity when you come with gratitude as well. So again, here's gratitude unlocking all of these wonderful mindfulness virtues that really will change your life. So
I love it, man. I love it. Couple things, and then I'll jump into the closing grounding practice. One, I got a comment from a fellow Mission 60 Deliberate Discomfort Challenge participant, Randy. Randy says, gratitude journaling opened my eyes to how much I was taking advantage of myself and my family. And I just assumed they knew I was grateful, which ties directly into what you just mentioned there, Will. And we do that all too often. We just assume they know. And even if they do know, hearing it is what makes the difference. So that's
it again, taking it out and bringing it into the world, bro. It's a paper, whether it's words, right? Whether it's a hug, a handshake, right?
Yeah. So thanks for that, Randy. And then, another thing, and, we try to keep our show apolitical, and, we try not to get down any particular religious path. But I will tell you today, personally, it's Good Friday. I'm a Christian, and, I'm not going to get into that too much, but prayer, regardless of which religion you are, that is another opportunity to show gratitude. So we touched on several ways to show gratitude. Prayer is a great one. And, I can't remember who said it, but somebody mentioned, if you stood up and you said nothing else in your prayer besides thanks, that would be good enough. That would be a prayer, just saying thanks. Right. And I think that's 100% true. So, all right. What I want you to do before we get into the final grounding practice, those watching live, those listening, what I want you to do is think of 3 things right now that you are grateful for. Think of 3 things. Obviously, I'm not going to ask you to comment here live or anything. Just internalize those 3 things. All right. Give you a second to get those. Now you got those. All right. So that said, let's get into the grounding practice. Just bring yourself into the here and now. Go ahead and get comfortable. Place your feet firmly on the ground. And if you're comfortable doing so, close your eyes. Otherwise, just soften your gaze. Bring your attention to your breath. Noticing the physical sensation of breathing in and breathing out. And noticing where the air is entering, whether it's through your mouth or nose, and how that feels. And where it is exiting. Notice how that feels. And notice how your belly and chest expand on your breath in and contract on your breath out. And let's express some gratitude for that breath, the fact that we have fresh air to breathe, the fact that we can breathe, the fact that we're alive. Just think about that for a moment. And now, what I want you to do is think about those 3 things, and in your mind, complete the sentence with the first, the second, and the third thing for which you are grateful for today. Complete the sentence. I am thankful for. I am thankful for. And I am thankful for. And then slowly bring your attention back to your breath. Let's close with one thankful, cleansing breath. Begin by breathing out all your air, bringing your navel to your spine. Then breathe deep down into your belly, chest. Hold that and let it go. Nice and slow, slow, slow. And then when you're ready, go ahead and bring some movement back into your body and open your eyes if you had them closed. Otherwise, just refocus your gaze. For those who are watching or for those who are listening later, please, share this with your friends, with your family. We are so thankful for you being here with us live today. We are so thankful for you. I'm expressing my gratitude for you and your listening later on the podcast and for the reviews and the sharing that we've gotten thus far. I'm so thankful for what it is you guys do as our audience. Will, I'm so thankful for you and who you are and doing this with me and walking this path with me, brother. And over to you.
Thank you, John. I love this adventure. And we would not be here if it was not for the audience, everyone that's listening, our audience, and people that are really growing this community. And I'm so encouraged every time we get a new message, every time we get a new share, every time we get a new review, every time we get a new listener, because we're creating this community together. And we invite you, please, like if there's something that you would like to us to dive into and dig into a little bit deeper or bring into the show, please, we love your suggestions. And I appreciate you, John. I mean, we hold great space, John. I love how we're continually growing as co-hosts, as a team, and with our community. And I really, this is the happiest moment of my week. I feel every time, John. It's like really beautiful, really beautiful.
It is.
Thank you, and thank everyone out there. And we'll catch you all next week.
Yes, sir. Thank you, brother. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining Will and Jon on Men Talking Mindfulness. If you enjoyed the show, please like and share it with your friends and family, and please, we would appreciate a review too. Until next time, this has been Men Talking Mindfulness. Thanks for showing up.